This is the Super Bowl tax that they're paying right now. It's kind of like what the Rams are doing. Not exactly similar situations, but the Buccaneers have more than $74 million in dead cap space. Think about that for a second. They are just completely locked down as far as what they can do. And there's a quote from Bucs general manager Jason Licht, and he said this to the Tampa Bay Times. This was part of the plan going back to 2020 when we signed Tom. At some point, we're going to have to pay the bills. Well, now the Bucs are paying the bills. They have some great individual talent, but as a team, particularly when you're talking about trying to move the football, they're going to be rough to watch.
Oh, for sure. Because I will say they still have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Like, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch. And I was trying to think, if we were thinking super positive here, like, remember, isn't that kind of the setup that they had in Seattle, where they had DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, two really solid receivers that at least the quarterback can alternate his throws to. So maybe that's the case here. I just think it all starts from the quarterback position. And also, I'm wondering how good this offensive line is going to be now, because they've made some changes. It looks like they're moving Tristan Wirfs, who's been outstanding since joining the league, but he's been playing right tackle. So now they're going to move him to left tackle. I would assume that he can probably do it, but still, it's something that you have to write down. And also, the fact that Tom Brady made it a lot easier on offensive lines, because he is one of the quickest throwers of the football in the National Football League. So the offensive line probably looked a little better because they didn't have to protect him for that long. So we'll see if the offensive line continues to be a decent one when it's a different quarterback throwing the ball. But still, a lot of question marks here for the Tampa Bay Bucs.
They say it's an open competition. You know the answer to this. I don't. Is it really an open competition? Because if Baker's the guy, I don't know if I see it.
Okay, so that's the question, because everywhere I go, I mean, the mailman stops by and he wants to know Baker Mayfield or the former Florida Gator Kyle Trask. I'm out with friends at a restaurant and people are coming up to us. Who's the quarterback? I believe it is an open competition, at least for training camp. Why would it not be? You have to find out whether Kyle Trask can play. The only way to find that out is to give him the opportunity in a training camp and in a preseason game or two to play with the first team people. And if at that point he's poor, he's bad, then you understand we've got to go with the proven guy who's won games in the regular season right now, because we want to win at the beginning of the year. But for right now, I believe it is. I don't think that is just lip service. I think they actually are going to compete when July begins here next week for them. And whether or not Kyle Trask can take the reins and do something with it is a different argument. Clearly, Baker Mayfield had success and got the Cleveland Browns. Yes, the Cleveland Browns into the playoffs. But there's no guarantee here. The Browns gave up on him. The Carolina Panthers had him a year ago and then put him on the bench. And he asked for his release and got it and went to the LA Rams. And then they said, we don't think you're worth enough, or he thought this situation was better to come here on a 1-year short money deal to try to prove himself. This is the fourth team for Baker Mayfield already. So I do believe, to answer your question, it is an open competition. I think Chelsa, I didn't get the answer. Does 8 wins win the South? Or is it going to take a 9th win between those teams? The Saints,
maybe.
Bucs, Falcons.
Last year the Bucs won it with a losing record, but we have to go back to your prognostication of the Bucs winning the division, because you said that with a straight face. And I commend you, sir, because that is not something that I think I could do, because you have been in Tampa Bay long enough to remember the Bucs before Tom Brady got there. Listen, it was desolate at games. The Bucs were terrible. Like, I covered some of those games. Like, the game where they had the historic first half score where the Ravens scored like 7 touchdowns in the first half against the Bucs. So I just keep getting flashbacks to that. Do you think that the floor is that low for this Bucs team? Because I think you've talked about the ceiling, but what about the floor?
Okay, so it's a good point that you make, that they have had issues kind of in between the Super Bowl win with Gruden, Sapp, Brooks, John Lynch, Mike Allstott, and those guys. And then moving forward to Tom Brady, it was a long, dry period of not making the playoffs, not winning a playoff game, not contending. Now, that being said, they have pieces. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, stop me here, Vita Vea, Devin White in the middle. Carlton Davis as a cover corner. They've got Tristan Wirfs is one of the best offensive linemen in football who's now going to move to left tackle. They've got pieces in place. Do they have a full enough roster to be considered a 12, 13, 14 win team right now? Probably not. But again, you're in a division with Carolina, who fired their coach and had the number 1 pick. You're in the division with Atlanta, who the Buccaneers over the last 3 years have basically owned, who have had losing records all 3 of those years and are going with Desmond Ridder. Hello. So 4 of your games are Carolina and Atlanta right there, trying to get to an 8th or a 9th win. And then do you believe that much in Derek Carr in the new locale as the Saints quarterback? The Saints probably have the best roster comparable to the Buccaneers with star players on it. Atlanta Falcons no, Carolina Panthers no. So it's really a Saints Buccaneers probably 2-horse race in the division. But I can't go along with those that would say that the Buccaneers don't have talented players. I mean, Mike, disagree with me on this. Mike Evans starts on any team in the NFL. Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
he pretty much,
sure.
out of the 3 receivers on any team, he starts for any team in the NFL. Vita Vea as a defensive tackle, as one of the 2 defensive tackles, he's phenomenal in the middle.
Yes.
He's getting he starts for any team in the NFL. Carlton Davis as a cover corner, one of the 3 cover corners. He probably starts for most of the teams in the NFL. I'm being long-winded. They're not devoid of talent. Can they put it together? We're about to find out.
You were talking about some of the golfers you don't like and why. I know you touched on that a little bit, but who are some of the guys that you're staying off of specifically because they just don't match up well, or they're just not playing well coming into Royal Liverpool?
Yeah, it could be a combination of Cam Rogers' fatigue with these guys, bad form, bad Open Championship form. The fatigue is with Patrick Cantlay, okay? I picked him to win the U.S. Open, and of course, he did not contend at a major championship. He has yet to do so. So I'm staying off Patrick Cantlay here this week. Max Homa, again, 0 top 10s in a major. Can't go there with him. The major championship resume, not there. Justin Thomas, he's a shell of himself right now. I think he's 80-1 to win in the outright market, which is crazy to think about when we are talking about Justin Thomas. But even when he was playing well, when his irons were world class, he still doesn't have a top 10 at an Open. So he can't quite figure out link style golf. I think eventually he will, but he does have a lot of spin on his flight. So maybe that's why. And then finally, Jordan Spieth. Listen, historically, one of the best link style golfers going back to 2008, but missing 4-6 cuts, MC at the Scottish. He's been erratic this season. I know an Open Championship is a good fit for him because he is an artist, right? He likes to think his way around a golf course. But when he won at Birkdale back in 2017, his form coming in was much better than what it is right now. So those are 4 guys I caution you all to not bet on.
Wait a second. Is he an auctioneer? That's how you know that this guy is not giving up play calling duties. When he's like, well, we both like college football. I like college football. He likes college football. I mean, I like offense. He likes offense. He's going to be in the room. I'm going to be in the room. He's going to be in College Station. I'm going to be in College Station. It's just working out real well. It's whoa. You're not even answering the question, dude. I can assure you, Jimbo Fisher is calling the plays this season. He brought in Bobby Petrino as a salve to say, look, I'm giving up some of these responses. No, he's not. No, he is not. And that tells you all you need to know when someone says, who's calling the plays? Well, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it. We both like football. I like football. He likes football. My name's Jimbo. His name's Bobby. We both got first names. We both got last names. I was like, what are you even talking about, Jimbo Fisher? I love this soundbite. I swear to God, at first I was like, Double D, did you speed that up? That's amazing. What a soundbite.
Every time I hear Jimbo Fisher, I forget how fast he talks. And it reminds me of Porky Pig. And I don't know if you've ever seen him in person. He's also a very short individual. So he just reminds me of Porky Pig, the way that he talks. But I thought the funniest part of this quote was the end. You're going to say you're blessed to have him. Doesn't blessed imply that there is like some, interference from God where God's like, here, I'm going to bless you with Bobby Petrino. When you think of like the slimiest individuals in the game of football, isn't Bobby Petrino one of the slimiest of them all? But listen, there's a reason he's stuck around this long in football, despite his checkered past. It's because he is really good when it comes to the offensive side of football. He's done this before where he's gone to programs under a lot of scrutiny and he's really turned them around. He did it with Louisville. So we'll see if he can do something to help turn around Texas A&M, because when you see a school make this type of hire, doesn't it scream desperation? And I feel like I can feel some desperation building for Texas A&M because, Texas coming to the SEC next year. It's a team that, made this huge flashy hire of Jimbo Fisher, one of very few coaches to win a national title. And they thought, okay, this is our moment in the sun. We're going to win another one. This was their championship pitch. And now it's looking like it's probably not going to happen. So I think this move kind of reeks of desperation.